All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the OMLN Tournament 4th edition. We've got yet another match going into the round of 16 weekend. This is the point where the tournament starts to ramp up in difficulty as we approach the mid-game point of the tournament. The mid-game pillar of these matches that will separate a lot of these players from each other. Now that we're exiting out of that early game, going to be seeing Veloce seed 6 going up against MatchaLatte seed 22. Both these players quite reputable within their own respective countries, and especially in the MWC, especially in the tournament scene of things. So gonna be really interesting to see both these players duke it out to see who's gonna be remaining in the winners bracket. But before we get onto that, as usual, I'm your host Epic Man 2, and joining alongside is gonna be none other than Potterage. Bonjour.
Good morning. Good morning. It is it is in fact Veloce versus MatchaLatte. They have gone into the protects and bans for now. We do have your own map that is going to be protected. Well, one of your maps, anyways, the Snoop Dogg one, that is going
Damn.
to be protected, and the second protect is none other than Too Much Lolly. So, um, Snoop Dogg Lolly protected.
that that's a crazy sentence. What?
Snoop Dogg Lolly protected. Can we get a chibi like Snoop Dogg model?
We probably could. I mean, it probably already exists out there, but I have no idea. Oh my god, dude. That caught me so off guard, dude. What the hell?
Yo, I'm gonna try to raise my hand.
Oh yeah, that's fair. But yeah, that aside, with the protect being set in stone, gonna be the next episode, and Too Much Lolly gonna be seeing the bands come out, and we're gonna be seeing the first one go onto Kamui, which is Tech 1. So definitely a very sensible ban, as well as Coordination 1 being banned out as well by MatchaLatte in response, going to prevent some of the mental game aspects of these map pools, prevented from being thrown into the limelight in this match, because this is definitely the one thing that I feel most players in this tournament are going to be struggling with, especially during the first half of the tournament, which is where these picks are a lot more prevalent than it is going to be in the late game. While we're going to be seeing the first pick actually go into the favor of MatchaLatte, going to be seeing Too Much Lolly being brought out, the instant protect being thrown out, while this was actually Veloce's protect in question.
Going to be an interesting prospect here. I don't know if the volume is okay on my side. I don't know if that did anything.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, let's just roll with it, I guess. See if we can do anything in the time.
Yeah, this is the first pick of the whole match, so we got quite a bit of things to set up, but I think both these players are more than well enough ready to just go back to the swing of things, try and seek into what we can do for the round of 16 bracket, because this is, like I mentioned, the point where a lot of upsets are probably going to be prevalent. MatchaLatte, I know, is quite capable of a lot of these LNs. Let's look to take down the likes of Veloce, who is practically one of the top tier players that this tournament has to offer at the moment, trying to compete for that top prize over in the winners bracket right now. And both these players end with such a great run thus far, and neither of these players want to let it go to waste for now, although unfortunately we can only have one player going through at the time, and we've already made a start of Density 2 as it looks.
Yeah, and the start is to the favor of Veloce right now, or clocking in at 99.85, just about. Both of the players at full combos, so it is a matter of accuracy between the players.
Yeah, absolutely. This map looking to be a little tight right now. I feel like the thing is that Veloce is a lot more comfortable when it comes to a lot of these density patterns, as we would have seen if you were to compare the qualifier scores between these two players on stage 3 in question. So definitely makes all the more sense that Veloce would have the advantage on this. I am not quite sure as to why MatchaLatte picked it up, but at the same time, they're not really doing too bad either. Only 4,000 points of differential. So any mistake from the side of Veloce can definitely swing us over to their side if they aren't too careful here.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a fair try to pick your opponent's protect just to get some information as to why exactly. Like density 2 is like kind of a safe protect anyways, so it's like yeah, it's like not having a protect essentially.
Yeah, exactly. This one's probably gonna be one of the more, dare I say, favorable density maps overall in the map pool because of because of what you have for density 1 and density 3 in question. Those follow different standards as to what makes the maps a little hard. So this one is literally basically in the middle ground of it being this lower density map, but it's all the more denser in terms of how tight these LN walls are, especially in comparison to density 3. But that side, it is going to be Veloce's first point. So starting off with a break point is kind of a blunder from the side of MatchaLatte, especially now that Veloce has the luxury of basically picking anything else that's safe for them to go into the next match or the next round.
Yeah, speaking of which, sliding into the next density right away, Veloce definitely knows that density is their comfort zone, and they're probably gonna abuse it until the density picks run out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it definitely makes sense that Veloz would want to throw out majority of the density-oriented maps right away because they know that it's established that they do have quite the edge on those picks, especially with Density 3 and what we have seen of Density 2. Density 1, Full Metal Dip Shies is probably going to be something that can turn the papers a little more, but obviously we can't jump the gun just yet. This is now the Reborn Perennial, so we gotta at least see what both these players are gonna be trying to do. Whether we are gonna be seeing MatchaLatte take that revenge for Density 2 or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see if any of those players actually break on the more stringent bursts towards the later end of the map. This is definitely probably the most physical map of the entire map pool, so it does kind of show the limits of each player in terms of physicality.
Yeah, exactly that, and especially with this map as well, having some of these really awkward density patterns as well on top of it, like in Compromise, this is a lot easier, or at least it's a lot less denser in Contrarian to Density 2, as we have seen. Although the main gimmick here is that despite it being less dense, it is faster, clocking at about 195 BPM. So but as we can see here, neither of these players are faring on or wavering going into this map either. It's only really just hundreds of points in the advantage of Veloce, but this can easily drop out at any time if there is any kind of blunder to be seen.
Yeah, Veloce definitely looks a lot more comfortable in terms of ratio for now, but it is a tale to be told as we go into the map, as the resulting accuracies so far are really similar, only a few percents apart, but MatchaLatte is actually dripping some accuracy towards this later half.
Yeah, that's going to put a bit of a blunder in the side of MatchaLatte here. Going to be objectifying the lead on the side of Veloce for the time being, which is definitely something that MatchaLatte does not want to afford here, especially during this ending where it does not let up on the gas once you start. There is no breaks. This is where the map goes on until the end, and you get a lot of these really direction-oriented streams as well, some of these bursts as well to add fuel to the fire, but that is going to be it. That is going to be going into the ending where you have the final few piano chords playing, and that is basically it. There's not, even if there is a miss from the side of Veloce right now, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the outcome of how this pick had gone, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, beautiful run coming from below. So we're going to see how good the score is. Just 1-200, just a one shy of a clean V1SS, but a 995k, almost 996k nonetheless.
Yeah. Very scary score from the side of Veloce right there, and this honestly makes me question as to why MatchaLatte would have thrown out Density 2 to start off with, because it would have been well established that Veloce is a lot more strong in comparison when it comes to some of these more density-oriented maps. So I feel like for MatchaLatte, the more sensible decision would be to go with some of the more technical maps to try and shift the tides a bit. But we can definitely see it with Wildcard 2 being thrown out. This is going to be Raindrop by Mysterion.
Yeah, creation is the right word to describe Mysterion's maps in this map. Or like Camu is a creature and Raindrop is a creation, essentially. It is the way I like to describe it.
Literally both sides of the opposite spectrum. It's like if you were to see literal Jesus and the devil like facing off against each other in an arm wrestle, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, how is somebody even meant to compare it? Like, it's literally the one that made the most sense in my head going into a map like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, come see our map. We've got Jesus, we've got the devil, and we've got Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. I mean, unfortunately, it is not 420 day, like, at the moment, but I don't know. Maybe we hosted the tournament a little too late. We should have just hosted it in spring so that we could get the map revealed during the exact right time, but that aside doesn't really matter. We got Raindrop, so gonna be showing the urban efforts of both these players that they both have to offer. And so far, the lead is actually really close right now. Only a few tenths of points in the advantage of MatchaLatte. Not going to be very safe for the time being. This map definitely opens for a lot of these misjudgments and chokes as well, given how technical this map is with a lot of these shields and a lot of the more coordination-oriented parents as well.
We see a notice of weakness coming from Veloce here. Probably dropping some of those 200s or misjudgments on the shield elements of this map. So probably a window of opportunity for MatchaLatte, but MatchaLatte does still have to maintain their own accuracy because they had the lead once, but they lost it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to lead the score back into Flickering Zone, and it's only going to go back into the side of Veloce, going off of some of these unfortunate intrusive misjudgments from the side of MatchaLatte. Even with how mighty they are, both these players are still holding the combo. It's really just down to a lot of these yellow 300s that both these players need to try their best to maintain, or at least ensure that they don't get it as much, because if they do, then that's going to cause a lot of problems to happen.
Yeah, we're coming into the last quarter of the map. Is anyone going to drop combo? I dare say, like, this is one of the most chokeable picks in this map also. Like, both of the players still on the path to a full combo, but MatchaLatte dripping accuracy still up until the end. Not a good sign of the perspective point.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. MatchaLatte definitely had it in the bag for quite a good portion of the map already. It was just towards the ending where the instability just came out and bled out a lot more than MatchaLatte would have wanted. And now with another breakpoint in the side of Veloce that is gonna lead them into their fourth pick, whether they want to try and tie things up with a match point, because this is definitely looking to be quite dire for MatchaLatte right now. There's basically no maps that they have won, and right now, if they want to be able to try and fight themselves back into the equation, they're going to have to try and win off of Density 1 as well. And based off what we have seen from the other Density maps, which Veloce destroyed, this one is going to be scary to watch, I can't lie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which is the last remaining density pick so far. Veloce only picked in the density category so far, looking very comfortable in this category in particular. So but I wonder if MatchaLatte should go less physical.
It definitely does suggest that it could be an interesting avenue to take, because of the fact that majority of maps that we have seen so far have been quite physical. I think the closest that we have seen to non-physical maps in the map pool, or this round specifically, was Wildcard 2. But even then, like, a little in that one kind of suggests that it's a lot more on when it comes to, dare I say, maybe the balance between both of them, like basically being in the middle ground between physically but also technically challenging as well.
So we're gonna see the last remaining density here. That is the most coordination demanding density. The slowest, but also probably the trickiest to handle in terms of accuracy. And I think accuracy is the name of the game in this winner's bracket matchup.
Yeah, exactly. So far, both these players doing really well for just about the first third of the chart. Both these players not wavering, even with a bunch of these patterns that challenge your absolute discomfort for some of these more one-hand Dorian patterns where you need to try and at least act to the best of your ability on some patterns that have some pretty weird rhythms and stuff. But both these players are doing pretty well. It's just that pretty big accuracy drop from the side of MatchaLatte that's going to objectify the score lead on the side of Veloce going into the halfway mark of the map. That's definitely something that's really bad for them because they have no points whatsoever. They're gonna need to try and build that up one way or another, and if it's too late, then they're basically running out of options by that point.
Yeah, running out of time for now. We are already 3-0 in terms of total score, and Veloce is looking to get the 4th point right now as the last third of the map is elapsing.
Yeah, Veloce doing really well, being able to FC a lot of these parents and act them to the best of their ability, not showing any sign of fatigue. And even if we have seen a sign of weakness, their recovery game is what brings them back to the equation more or less. And that is something that I feel has countered MatchaLatte on a lot of these maps really well. But even then, has there really ever been like some kind of bomb that dropped on the side of Veloce that prevented them from being able to show off their prowess as much as they would have desired to?
Well, there's only one way to find out. Just watch the rest of the pick, but I don't think anything's gonna happen, unfortunately. Like, we've seen bombs being dropped in other matches. There's definitely been some really funny bombs being dropped in other matches, but that is not going to be such a match. We still have a double FC in the lobby, but very, very different accuracies involved in this pick in particular. I wonder if something happened to MatchaLatte, perhaps an FPS drop or something, because like that ratio differential is like very tremendous, probably the most tremendous of the match so far.
Yeah, that one alone is threatening. I think at this point, like even though MatchaLatte didn't really give out as much information to Veloce about their ability, the only information they can really garner about MatchaLatte's prowess and abilities and skill, everything, is from the qualifiers alone. And even then, the qualifiers isn't as variable enough to be able to show exactly how they would fare on all these map types within this difficulty alone. And especially with Wildcard 1 going to be the potential final map. This is 24 Evo by Arcad. So this one kind of more on the more technical wildcard side. This is probably going to be spelling the end for MatchaLatte's winners bracket run unless they come out with some trick up their sleeve.
Yeah, I think so far, like the scores that MatchaLatte was able to provide against Veloce are pretty decent. I dare say it is a good sign of things to come for quarterfinals. Quarterfinals map pool is going to be much harder than round of 16, given that a fair amount of players are getting eliminated from the losers bracket. So MatchaLatte definitely a force to be reckoned in the losers bracket. But in this match in particular, we only picked within the density and wildcard map pools, funnily enough.
Yeah, both these players, I'd assume that this is probably their main field of shooting range because of the fact that a lot of these maps open up for definitely some very interesting picks and choices to be made as well. Some of these really interesting decisions, and you can definitely see it with a lot of the more technical maps where it challenges the absolute depth of what a player is capable of, especially where it treads the field of being unconventional. And then a lot of the more density-oriented maps will also challenge that of how you can fare on what's basically jump stream, but difficult because you need to release everything at once when the time comes, and it's literally only by mere milliseconds as well.
Yeah, so far status update on the accuracies, they're still pretty close, all things considered. Um, it could swing in the blink of an eye, like just 1 or 2 200s. Like that's one on MatchaLatte's side, so widening the gap between Veloce and MatchaLatte. But anything could still happen to Veloce. But Veloce has been looking the most consistent so far between the two players.
Absolutely. Veloce going to be reigning supreme over this map right now. Consistency is the name of the game right here, and we can definitely see that being showed off in full fruition going into this map alone, where it introduces a lot of these short lens and a lot of these insanely tight patterns as well that really tread the mark of your transition out of the early game stages. And especially with that, MatchaLatte going to be continuing to find faults here. They're now going into the ending, and that is just about going to be it. Veloce in with another FC. Both these players have not even missed once this whole match. It was just coming down to raw consistency alone, and that is a difference of 100 perfects right there and 2 greats.
Yes, indeed. And MatchaLatte with a no-miss run in this 5-0 sweep. That is kind of heartbreaking to lose on a no FC run, but once again, they will be a force to be reckoned against in the losers bracket.
Absolutely. Very well said there. And although MatchaLatte didn't end up getting the better end of the stick this time, they definitely are proving to be quite a formidable opponent in the losers bracket, considering how they were able to at least ensure that the score gap on every map is not that far apart in the side of Veloce. I think the main takeaway for players in the losers bracket that are probably going to be facing up against MatchaLatte is that they need to try and be consistent, because if they aren't, they could definitely prove to be the danger going into a match like this. And yeah.
Yeah, what else is there to say, really? The accuracy from Veloce is like looking really scary for their next opponent in quarterfinals. I kind of forgot who they were facing in quarterfinals, but at this point, any player who goes into the winner's bracket is going to be scary.
Exactly. I mean, we can definitely see that with next week's matchups already. Going to be seeing Veloce having to face the winner between Mucci or Plana, and both these players are insanely crazy at LN. So,
no,
oh my
that is
goodness,
devastating. Jesus Christ.
literally, this is where stakes ramp up, bro.
Yeah. And speaking of stakes, we are going into the search period for matches. There's going to be a lot of matches, probably like 6 in the span of 2 hours, starting from 14 UTC. So a few matchups that are displayed so far are Parasol 3 very sour. 2 Chinese players in the losers bracket. You do not expect to see Parasol 3 in the losers bracket, but it is what it is.
Oh.
Mitty versus Lee Kim, also, I think, a losers bracket match. Giselle versus Puppy, Leon versus Newson. All of those are losers bracket matches. Leon in the losers bracket and Newson in the losers bracket. What are we doing even?
Honestly, I have no idea. The only people that we have to thank here are the players for literally pulling their irons out. You know what I mean? Like, this tournament is looking crazy, and I would not. Dude, I'm literally trying to envision the halfway mark of this tournament where we approach the late game. I'm probably gonna be scared for my life. I'm probably gonna like have multiple sleepless nights just thinking about the players that are gonna be going out, because the competition is just this crazy going into the round of 16 marker.
Yeah, speaking of which, the remaining 15 UTC matches going to be none other than Pevin versus Flowerful in the winner's bracket. So that is a matchup that exists. Also.
One of a kind, that's for sure.
But anyways, that is going to be it for now. We are going to resume broadcasting at 14 UTC, so 35 minutes from now. Wait, no, 1 hour and 45 minutes from now. No, 2 hours.
2.5
No.
hours from now. Yeah.
2.5 hours from now, yeah. I can account.
Well, me neither. It's okay. It's been a year and a half since I passed maths, but it's okay at the end of the day. So, but yeah, any closing remarks you want to make, Potter, before we close out?
La da 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 da.
Is the motherfudging the O-double-G?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Peace out.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is once again Epic Man 2 with Pontarage, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.